Mr. Secretary, the petition that has been taken up by EQB to be studied by the DEP and the RFP that's been put out to try and find somebody that's capable of producing that study. The RFP, can you get a copy of that for the committee members so we can see the specifics of that RFP? Because I haven't seen it. I mean, I've seen the...
We sent you the ITQ.
Yeah, it was a information to qualify, not an RFP, but we can send you the ITQ.
So
it for the members, yeah.
Okay, that would be appreciated to see the details of that we can discuss as a committee and share with the committee. And understand some of what the administration has tried to do through the executive order. I think some of my greater concerns and that of some of my colleagues that I've spoken with is, as we've shared with you in some of the previous letters on the water fee structure and the air quality fees and some of those other initiatives, would be the same with the RGGI and with the way things were worded related to the transportation coalition or initiative that's being undertaken. It sounds like they're trying to develop a proposal from the transportation side. And in that proposal, I would expect the administration to bring to the General Assembly for statutory authority to be given to enter into whatever that proposal is asking or proffering that we should be doing. And the same with the RGGI is, as you know, we've had a lot of discussions within the Capitol on the RGGI, and the authority is not there for the administration to enter into any type of scheme that's going to give the administration, the executive branch that's supposed to be executing policies adopted through statutory changes by the General Assembly, wouldn't give, like, you don't have the power to implement a taxing plan without our statutory approval of that and implementation. So I think if you could share with us, where are we at with the RGGI discussions from the administration's perspective? Because I know you were seeking authority to do some things. We haven't granted that yet. So those are continued discussions, but it'd be helpful for us to know, where are you at with those discussions and what type of communications have you had with PJM and some of those other entities that would be impacted by that?
Sure, and I'll address both. First, because I think it's far simpler. TCI, as I said earlier, it's a number of states in a design phase around designing that market mechanism. I think, frankly, step one for us would be, once that design is completed, whether or not we agree and are comfortable with that, before we would even contemplate whether we bring it here or not. I think on RGGI, we've been having, I've had conversations with colleagues of mine in, for example, Maryland, about how it works there. Colleagues in Virginia who are going through who started down a process of looking at how would they enter the greenhouse gas initiative. Again, just understand some of those mechanics. There's a model rule related to RGGI that would have to be adopted, for example, how the negotiation process works. All of those kinds of issues are things we're actively getting information on so that we can, again, have the broader conversation.
So you're still in a kind of research phase on the RGGI from the administration side?
I'd say we're definitely exploring all the options. I think the governor has said it would be ideal for us to enter, but we need to understand exactly how that would work and how we would go about it.
So that has to be adopted by the state that would be entering RGGI? Is there a model rule that RGGI has?
Correct. That each state adapts.
So is that adopted in the memorandum of understanding that the state would execute to enter into RGGI?
It's a regulation. Okay. When I say rule, it's
a regulation that would have to be adopted.
Correct.
So you're still researching that rule and all of that.
Correct.
As you've researched that, have you been talking with PJM in addition to that on the impact on the market and because my understanding is Maryland's costs have went up for their consumers as a result of their RGGI initiative significantly compared to other states, especially like Pennsylvania, that's a generator and an exporter of energy. So for Maryland to harm their consumers by entering into this proposal, driving up their energy costs, hurting job creation, I think there's some statistics out there that should cause even the Wolf administration to shy away from this if it's going to damage the economy here. So, as I mentioned, one of the greatest concerns that we've had, many of us, since talking about this since earlier this year, and for the conversations that are occurring in the hallway, is that there would be some kind of stealth operation taking place by the administration to enter into this, to execute a memorandum of understanding without statutory authority being given by the General Assembly to do that. So can you assure us today that there is no movement to try and do something in that stealth manner to get around the General Assembly, but that you are planning to come back to us after your research is done to talk more about what would have to be done by the General Assembly to enable the administration to enter into this?
Sure. So again, two things I'd say. One, on the comment on Maryland, I'll just point out the RGGI states and obviously Pennsylvania has low energy prices as well. But when you look nationally, the RGGI states collectively have very low energy prices compared to what's
that's not the numbers that I've seen. So I guess we'll have to compare the data and see where you're getting.
And we can get you some information. I just saw a study yesterday, in fact, on this. And on top of that, in addition to having those in relative terms, lower energy prices, they are investing back into their residents, into their businesses with the revenues generated from RGGI. So we're seeing numbers in the millions, billions of dollars in terms of total amount of energy savings that residents and businesses are achieving through programs funded through the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. So there is absolutely, they're building, for what I talk about in terms of some of these economic drivers that again, other corporate actors are starting to demand. These other states have spent 10 years building out exactly that infrastructure that is something I think we need to take very seriously and look at. As I said, we're still looking at researching all of the elements of this. I know we've been in been in discussions with legislative leadership around how we accomplish this. So I would expect those conversations to continue.
We'll have to compare our data.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thank you. Under the governor's executive order, my understanding is that the Department of General Services has, as a result of that, entered into a contract, at least one contract, to buy Tier 1 energy. And that the group they bought it from was called 3 Degree Incorporated out of San Francisco. So I think that would surprise a lot of people that some would argue we should increase the amount of solar we're buying or that we're requiring to be produced within our market. At the same time as our own government agency felt like they had to leave Pennsylvania to go to San Francisco to buy energy, which doesn't benefit Pennsylvanians, doesn't benefit Pennsylvania businesses. And for us to go into the portfolio, set that rate higher, as a result of that contract, that would seem to indicate that they'd have to go outside the state to buy more of the solar. Because Pennsylvania isn't known for its solar energy. I mean, we're known for our gas, we're known for our timber, we're known for our coal. We certainly aren't known for the sunshine being out regularly. That's why so many of us vacation somewhere south. So were you aware of that contract? I didn't think you probably would be, but just...
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the specifics of the contract. I knew they were engaged in a process to do that some time ago. I guess again, two things I'd say is one, as an important element of as we look at APS going forward, for solar in particular, again, thanks to the legislature and the governor's signature, we've closed the borders on the solar component in particular.
I want to close borders too, but that's in a different way. Build the wall. Thank you. Thanks for that segue.
So the solar piece would have to come from within here. Right now, under AAPS, we continue to allow Tier 1 and Tier 2 resources to be procured from outside of the state. And in fact, I'll point out that that has on an issue that is important to both our industrial legacy and climate and water. Our waste coal facilities in particular, which are included in Tier 2, 60% of those credits are being bought from out of state by our utilities and others. So as we look at AAPS and we look at potential increases there, I think the closing of that border again is important for us to consider. The other piece I'd point out is we've seen a number of institutional actors and was referenced earlier start to take action in a way where they're utilizing power purchase agreements. So rather than engage with an electricity generation supplier and buy a component of their overall electricity, they're actually directly procuring from a solar farm here within the state. We've seen City of Philadelphia do that. We've seen Penn State University do that. We're seeing others both do large rooftop as well as those utility scale projects.
Thank you.
Thank you.